All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 137th episode of The Get Down, brought to you by Digital Music Pool. My name is Cream.
Gary W. here.
We have another guest today, and it's someone, we have these conversations every single week, so it was only right for us to bring it to the podcast. Welcome, Chris Kinsel, managing partner, Downtown Social, among other titles. What's up, Chris?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good.
We're doing good.
Man, but you know what? This is going to be, I woke up this morning and I'm like, this is going to be an easy conversation. This is something that we do anyway, all the time. We're probably connected with you most out of every manager, bar owner that we deal with. We like your involvement. Obviously, we'll get into why we like your involvement. And I think it's going to be a really good conversation for people to hear not only, you know, your thoughts on the industry and kind of the direction where the industry is going right now, but also to get a little behind the scenes conversation of what we talk about on a weekly anyway. And maybe it'll change people's perspective on, you know, how they think they need to get booked, how they need to act at a venue, so on and so forth.
Yep, you know, positive or negative, I really enjoy looking forward to that Monday or Tuesday phone call with you guys. We always get something great out of that, and I'm excited to get it on the record today.
Yeah, I think another this is your perspective is going to be great because Gary and I come on here and we just murder venues and venue owners sometimes, but because of like just their lack of involvement, or it's been like an ongoing thing on the pod. I know you listen, so you hear us go on our mini rants, but every time we talk about a positive business owner and someone who runs a venue, Chris is generally the person we're talking about. And Downtown Social is generally, it's like one of a few venues that when we do talk positively about how things are run, it's generally about Downtown Social or a handful of other venues we work with. So
You guys are pretty good about keeping it anonymous, so.
we try.
Yeah.
So we actually met, like, you know, we're all working together here in New York, but we actually met. So you're a Jersey guy that was transplanted down to Charleston, and we met in Charleston through Angelo, right? Is that real? Is that right?
Yep, we did. So I'll make it quick. I was running a college bar in Charleston. I was a junior in college and grew up in Belmar, New Jersey. So I was friends with a lot of, you know, headliner DJs, porter guys. I worked at Headliner for a while, and I saw these like Angelo edits starting to pop up everywhere. And I would play them at the bar. He'd be sending me music. We'd be messaging each other back and forth on Instagram. I was like, come play a headlining set on a Saturday for me down in Charleston. You can stay on my couch, just get a flight, we'll take care of you. Never heard him DJ before. And he hopped down, and we had the conversation afterwards. His mixes were great, but I'd never heard him live. He could have been awful. So that was a big gamble on my part. He crushed it. He fell in love with Charleston just like I did. And then shortly after, I believe you guys came down, and that's where we shook hands for the first time.
Yeah, one of his next trips, right?
Yeah. And then you guys got some gigs. You just hopped on, and then, yeah.
That venue was great. It was like a bar, but like it had like a little step up in production. So like it made it attractive for somebody like an Angelo to come down.
It had the Chris touches that we now know. It had the Chris touches.
It did.
It had the Jersey touches is what it was.
Yeah, so that venue is we liked hanging out there. We thought it was like this nice little step up. It reminded us of one of our current venues in Hoboken, just with an elevated feel. So that was and it was cool to see you behind the bar and interacting with the crowd and doing all the things that you do really well now, just as a bartender.
Yeah.
And like, you know, creating a show and creating an atmosphere for the crowd there. And it was like kind of eye-opening. Like we don't have bartender. I don't deal with many bartenders that do that, you know, and take that next step to make it a good experience.
It was fun. I don't get to do it behind the bar too much. I try to do it on the floor as much as I can. I think that's why I get so excited when I get to talk to you guys. I'm like, nice, I'm in it again. And correct me if I'm wrong, that trip was your introduction to 13 Step and Hair of the Dog?
I believe so. I
think
you
guys met our partners down south, and they connected you to New York.
Yeah, we were hanging out at Uptown.
Yep.
In Charleston, and we ended up meeting Bryn and some of the other partners and kind of just hit it off. Angelo was introducing us to people. You were introducing us to people and just kind of talking about what we do up here. And that was how we started working with Best Bars and 13th Step and Hair of the Dog in New York City. So it's crazy. Like that was one of those networking trips. And it was like, let's go to a new city. Let's go hang out with Angelo. Let's go meet some people. And so much came out of that trip. My relationship with Eric at Trio came out of that trip. Our relationship with you, our relationship with Best Bars. It's kind of crazy. Like one weekend, how
Yeah.
much came out of that one trip.
And that was supposed to be
Crazy.
a little vacation weekend for you guys.
Yeah, it was COVID. Nothing was open up by us. We were like, F it, let's just go down. Let's go check out Charleston. Why not?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Doing that weekend didn't feel like work at all. That networking was just easy. It was in the what we would have been doing on quote unquote vacation anyway, right? We were just hanging out and meeting people anyway. So like it was just a natural thing. It didn't feel like a work trip.
I think that trip made me realize that it's okay to go and do that. And like I went to Charlotte recently, and I'm gonna probably go down to Austin at some point in this year in 2024 to go meet with some of those guys, CRG and some of the other DJs. And it's like, yeah, you're losing out on the money for the weekend, but those relationships are so valuable, and you never really know what can happen from that little trip. So super valuable.
We
All right,
talked
so
about
Chris,
it
I want to go
real
ahead, my
quick.
bad.
Like, do we keep our guys in New York and Jersey? Do we let them fly? Do we, Angelo did it, and Angelo's kind of now under neither of us, but he's crushing it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see those guys grow and, get to the Charlestons, get to the Austins, get to the Nashvilles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's something we talk about, trying to move some of our DJs to different markets, and you've helped facilitate some of that, and that's definitely a goal of many of our DJs is to go play other markets. So any way that we can help facilitate that is a win,
Yeah.
All right, so we talked a little bit about how we met. I want to fast forward. So you left Charleston, you came up to New York because you had an opportunity to become a managing partner at one of the venues, one of the best bar venues. And that's really how we started working together. So you used to work, you took over a spot called 13th Step. It was one of the venues we were booking for a while. The DJ booth was in a closet. The sound was not very good. Our DJs didn't really want to work there. They just worked there because we put them there, type of thing. And in a year, you've sort of transformed 13th Step into what is now Downtown Social, which is a place where every one of our DJs want to work. We have upgraded sound, staging, upgraded lighting. We're popping confetti. Like, so much has changed in such a short period. And clearly, it's changed since you've come up here. So talk a little bit about what your expectations were coming up to New York and sort of how you implemented your vision to create Downtown Social.
It's humbling to hear when you put it that way. Disclaimer, it was a team effort, Yes, did those changes happen when I moved up? Yeah, no questions asked. But there was already a management team. There was already an operating partner at the 13th Step. And we had full backing from our partners down in Charleston, which we pulled a lot of these elements from. So when I came to New York, I honestly didn't really know what to expect. I was a Jersey guy, but I didn't spend time in the city, wasn't too fond of it. One day I had a conversation in Charleston. It's basically like, I want to be a partner in this company. And Keith Benjamin, one of our senior operators down south, was like, all right, let me think about it. Came back to me a week later and goes, you'll make partner, but you got to move to New York City. And I was like, what the hell is this? So we came in, we did some renovations at the 13th Step. Like we said, we upgraded our sound system. We put a video wall in. So we had the elements there, but I don't think anyone really knew how to use them, including myself. So it was a learning lesson through that. We had lights installed, but we soon learned that, they're not programmed the right way. Or we had a video wall, but we're not using it the right way. We have a DJ booth, but we're not using it the right way. So the first couple months was really spent me looking at the elements and the opportunity we have and how do we just capitalize on it across the board. So it was all new. For me, for the partners and the managers at Downtown Social, was the 13th Step. And just every day figuring out how can this be bigger, better, more fun. I say I want people to walk in here and just say, what the hell's going on? In New York City, I think it's so crazy sometimes for these big clubs and people expect that. But to walk into a basement bar, listen to a band playing, and then the room blacks out, and then you have just strobes and confetti and loud music. It's something different.
Was that kind of the mission statement from the team? I don't know if there was like a mission statement and and kind of a goal, a main goal of like where the company wanted to be or where the bar wanted to be. Was that kind of the mission statement? Like we're going to really lean into this nightlife, like almost like nightclub sort of feel.
So this sounds cliche. Our mission statement was to have a fun bar and throw a good party. A lot of that I think was put into my hands when I moved here. The upper management of our company had seen what I'd done at the college bar that you guys were talking about before. They'd seen what I've done at some of the our bars down south in Charleston that are part of this company, and applaud to them. They had faith. They got me plane tickets to New York and said, good luck. We have your
Have at it.
support. Let us know what you need, but we've seen you do this before. Um, yeah, like you said, Cream, have at it. And it comes with its hurdles. Big city that I didn't spend much time in. Working with people that I met, the day before. Yeah, so we just went for it, which was kind of cool. What happened was what New York wanted. Our customers came in and we realized what they wanted more and more every weekend, and we just adapted to that.
So you guys are in what is that? That's considered the East Village, right?
Cool, yeah.
So there's really nothing like what you guys offer in that area. And it's such a it's been a thriving area of New York City for, young 20-somethings that are moving into the city for the first time. It's shocking that there was nothing offered like that. Because I lived down there down in 2000 from 2009 to 2011, and you had cocktail bars, speakeasies, things like that, dive bars that you could walk into, but there was no party, real party scene that you're going to walk into and there's going to be loud music, dim lights, and you can really, really party. You would have to actually go to a major nightclub for that. So you guys really created something niche in your market. A question I was going to have before this was how much onus did you guys put in on the sound system? It's something that Cream and I talk about all the time that we feel is so important, and I feel like that's something that's missing in so many places. So how important did you and the team feel like the sound was to your success?
So when we first opened, we did a full light revamp. The sound actually didn't change too much to start. Within, I think, a month of opening, the back rooms that we have, which is about half of our space, we completely revamped sound. We do live bands as well. So QSEs were installed, subs were installed. We flipped a handful of speakers. This is my ignorance to how AV works here, but not too much sound was changed. I think it's the way it was utilized.
Also, I remember, before you came up, Lloyd, who's one of the other partners that we work with, shout to Lloyd, love him. He also, there was some sound done prior to you getting there. So we had upgraded the sound prior to you getting there, and then you came in and just kind of tweaked it for the performance aspect for sure. But in talking to Lloyd, he's like, I know the sound sucks. We need sound. We need sound. And me and Gary would always be like, yeah, you do. It's going to make a huge difference. And I think that was the first step in taking 13th Step to downtown, just from a DJ's perspective and from our perspective as bookers. Once you invest in some sound, it's all right, these guys are serious about doing nightlife kind of thing. They're not just a bar that's going to try to put a DJ on. They're trying to do nightlife, which there's a big difference between those two things.
Yeah, and little things like putting a monitor in the booth. I know it sounds so small, or just knowing how that works, or our bands play and all the speakers on stage turn off, so there's no feedback. Those little tiny things, and we learned that, like I said, weekly, and we were just constantly changing for the first 6 months. Specifically for myself, working with Lloyd, who's a senior partner here in New York, he's been great. I'll come to him after the weekend and be like, this needs to be fixed. I don't have the power to do it in our company. Lloyd will be like, great, I'm writing a check. What do we need to do? What do we need to pay? And if anyone has any questions, tell them to come talk to me.
I feel like Lloyd is the most calm, collected dude ever. I've never seen him get upset or angry or loud or.
I'll come to him and be like, "Oh, this happened," and he's like, "Right, how do we address it? Let's go for it." So,
he's great to work with.
But no, to recap that for the sound, it was important to us. We knew if it sounded good, if it didn't sound good, we weren't afraid to put money into it, and we went from there. We're still changing. Every week we're texting our AV guys, having them come in, tweak things, and that goes hand in hand with the AV as well.
I mean, you're only 11 months, 12 months now in?
We are a year in January.
Wow. It's incredible. You guys rebranded and were successful immediately.
Yep.
Yeah,
you
it was
know, like
quick.
line around the block like, immediately. I just how do you think you guys were so successful so fast, or why do you think you were so successful so fast?
So you were talking about before how there's not much of what we do in the East Village. There's not much in the East Village, period. You walk down the Second Ave on a Thursday, Friday night, you'll hit us, you'll hit a cocktail bar. It's really it. And we
Yeah.
have bars that border either side of us, and we're at capacity 200 people in line, and these bars to the left and right of us have 15 people in them. So people are hopping in their Ubers and taxis to come to us. We generally don't do a cover charge. Drinks are reasonable. Um, you can have fun and party. It's not no bar minimums, no real strict dress code. Let's just have people come have a good time. They feel safe, and it checks all those boxes. Not for
I think
everybody.
that's the formula that customers are looking for right now. They're not looking for the $20 cover. I have to wear a dress shirt, no hats, $25 vodka sodas. Like people, they don't want that right now. And customers are telling the market that they don't want that. And if you're doing that, you're most likely not that successful right now, especially in the state of our economy and how things are going. So I think having that outlook and that kind of I don't know, understanding of what your customers really want is a testament to like what you guys are doing and your understanding of your customer base and the market and all the things that go into having a successful spot. What do you
Yeah, it goes
just
it
for
goes back
reference,
to
like what's like a double vodka soda cost? This is how I gauge everything now. What's a double vodka soda cost?
a single would be 9, a double would be just shy of 18.
Yeah, all
But
right. As long as you're not in the
all day,
20s, I feel like you're all right.
all day, every day, you can do $5 beers. We do $5 seltzers. On a Saturday night, you want to get a bucket of seltzers, it's 25 bucks.
That's
Yeah, like that's
incredible.
gold.
Or you can get a
I
Casamigos Reposado double, and it's in the mid 20s, and you can feel bad and bougie and try to impress the people, and they're fine.
I
Yeah.
bought a $13 high noon the other day.
Yep.
$13 for one high noon. I was like, what? What? I thought they were fucking with me.
Where was that?
At one of our venues in Hoboken.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, don't call him out.
Something we discussed that we'll potentially talk about today is the cost of doing business. I know you guys talk specifically a lot about the music industry in these venues. I would like to touch at some point about what the cost of doing business is. People see lines around the block and crazy parties on Fridays and Saturday nights, but they don't realize what goes into it. And that $13 high noon, helps a lot of these places run.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
let's get into it right now. I mean, I think this is a great transition. I think this is the part of the business that most people have no idea about. And they don't understand what it costs to run a place and why things are so expensive right now. So let's jump into it right now. So
Yes,
what are some of the things that the regular person would overlook?
To start with payroll, minimum wage in New York City is $15 an hour. And a step above that is what it costs to live in New York City. So these employees that we have, $15 an hour seems high for minimum wage, generally, but then on top of what we actually have to pay these people is astronomical. Put 15 security guards, 10 bartenders, 2 managers on the floor on top of entertainment. It adds up. 4 guys in the kitchen until 1 a.m., 5 nights a week. That gets overlooked. That's a big number. Rent is a huge number. What cost of product is. We just did a big a plumbing project at Downtown Social. That's in a 5-digit project. We're gonna replace some air conditioning units soon. Like this stuff adds up. You do 2 or 3 or 4 big R&M projects, that's your month in sales gone.
Right.
But you have to do those things when you're working in a 100-year-old building. It needs attention.
Yeah. It's what it's we talk about this constantly. We talk about the cost of we just say we
Investing in
we get
yourself.
pretty general. We get pretty general in saying that like our market sometimes struggles with like the little things like the sound and the lighting and maybe not having a video wall because ownership needs to invest in so much other stuff. I mean, and then just your rent alone is putting you far behind many other smaller markets where their rents aren't as high. Let's talk about like a Charleston, where I'm sure a place of this similar size in New York City is like $50,000, which is $50,000, and Charleston's probably more like 5 or 10 grand. So like you're talking about completely different. We shit on our market constantly. We do it all the time. Like, oh, we went to Charleston. It was amazing. Hospitality was great. They had video walls and the sound was great and CO2 machines. And it's like, well, yeah, because that $5,000 a month rent is a lot different than the 50 grand it is in New York City.
Yep.
And we do it constantly. So I'm happy that you're here to shed light a little bit on the specifics of outside of rent. What else is costing so much?
Little things like people look at our industry and say, great, there's a DJ and these people bought beer 2 hours ago and opened their doors and they're going to close until next Friday. And that's not how it works. Who does your marketing? Who's your lawyer? Who does your payroll? Who does your HR? Who works in your corporate offices? Like these huge things. Who books your parties? There's 10 people right there who don't even work in our building but are on our payroll.
Yeah.
And people don't see that.
I'll never forget the time that I emailed Lloyd and I'm like, so just give me your accountant's information. He's like, accountant? It's like, I do the accounting. I'm a fucking accountant.
Well, that's like us, Gary. We do all those. We have all those people. It's you and me.
You have to figure out ways to cut costs where you can in order to invest money into other parts of your business to make your business successful, right? And a lot of small, and you guys aren't a small business. I mean, you own a ton of different venues, but it still needs to happen where you do cut those costs where you can.
Yeah. Little things like adding a security guard on a Friday night, like that adds up.
Yeah.
Let alone adding 3, 4, 5 security guards because business requires it.
Yeah.
Right, because that's coming right out of your profit, right? Like that's just off the top pretty much.
Yeah, but it's essential.
Right, because if there's a huge fight and someone gets really hurt and, that gets out into the world, then maybe you don't have lines around the block anymore. And, that's $75 or $100 or whatever a security guard costs. It's like, all right, in the grand scheme of things, like we should have just paid the cost of the employee kind of thing.
And knock on wood, I'm proud to say we're, a safe space. I walk into bars and clubs and I'm grabbing my girlfriend and I'm putting my hands in my pockets because I don't know if I'm going to walk out of here with my phone or wallet or not.
Right.
And I've never felt that way in, really any of our establishments.
I mean,
I want to say this, but I don't want to jinx anything. But like in all the time that I've been there, I've never seen one fight ever. And I've been there a lot.
A couple tussles here and there, but generally speaking, we don't see much.
Yeah.
So we talked about you being a bartender. How has that transition from bartender to partner has it given you a deeper appreciation of what it takes to run a place? Did you kind of know that already? Like what it took to run a venue?
In all my time bartending and managing down in Charleston, I was really forward facing. So everything I did was just customer involvement. Rarely did I metaphorically open that office door. So yes, moving to New York as my appreciation for what happens in the back of the house has grown exponentially.
If you knew what you know now, would you still have gotten into it?
Yeah, probably more so.
Really?
It's just tools I'm gaining, It's like my tool chest and I'm just adding a tool every week. What can I learn today? What do I know today that I did not know yesterday? And how can we change it and how can I add a different perspective to it? Little things like how are we doing our schedules? How are we booking? How are we following up with our booking agents? So
nice. You obviously have a deep passion for the nightlife business, for the bar business, and it shines through just the way you communicate with us. We could tell, you know what I mean. But sometimes people change roles in nightlife, like you did, go from bartender to a partner, and sometimes like the shine will wear off, and it's like, well, this isn't going to be for me long term. Yep. Do you feel like this is something long term for you? Like this is going to be your career for a very long time?
This is 110% my career.
Yeah.
My goal is to open as many spots as we can, similar to what we have, maybe 5 times the size with a rooftop. We have such a good team. Keith Benjamin, like I mentioned before, talks a lot about, he's the one who runs Uptown Social and all of our operations in Charleston, South Carolina. Building our bench. It's great to have 1 or 2 people at the top, but who's below you? who's going to take over when you're not there, or you're sick, or you're on vacation. Um, and some people could look at it and say, hey, why do you have 10 people on your bench when they could be all-stars running a spot right now? And the answer is because I'm going to have 5 all-star teams in
Yeah.
a year. And when I
Yeah.
can move those 10 people from my bench to now have 5 huge spots, that's the goal.
Definitely. Because, yeah, you're right. When you're not there, somebody else needs to step up because you do such a great job with, and I'd like to transition into hospitality. You do such a great job with hospitality with not only the patrons, but your entertainment as well. And if that's how you are with your patrons and your entertainment, I'm sure you're amazing with your staff, also. So when you leave, it is so important to have somebody else to fill that role, right? Because you don't want Downtown Social to feel completely different when Chris Kinsel's not there.
Yeah. That's been a big struggle for me because I enjoy it so much. So when I'm there, I want to be that guy engaging with our entertainment. I want to be that guy really pushing to throw the party. Being able to take a step back and, let some of the other managers and staff come into that role. It's easy to do when I'm not there, right? Because they have no choice. But for me to step back and watch someone else engage with you too, it's like I have FOMO. So I work with myself every day. I'll have conversations with my managers, before shifts saying, what's your goal today? What can you learn? What can I step back and give to you to take care of tonight that I haven't done previously?
Yeah, I think that's the growth of being an owner and being like a business owner, right? And not just a DJ, but also a business owner, not just a bartender or a manager, but a business owner is being able to kind of pass your vision and some of your skills on to the next person and then be able to give them the responsibility and let them do it. And sometimes it's hard to do that. I'm the first one that wants to jump in there as well and be like, well, no, you should do it this way. But I think it's so important in being a leader to kind of when you give someone a responsibility, you let them do it, and then you could kind of talk about it afterwards and say, hey, I might have done this here, or hey, you did a great job in this way. I would have never done it that way. I love that. I learned something from you. But I think it's really important to let those people go and do the job and get the experience. And the more they do it, the better they're going to get at it. And eventually they're going to be able to do it almost as well as you can do it.
My partner and I, Lloyd, talk about this pretty often. He's given me the reins when it comes, to the party that we're throwing. And there's plenty of times, more often than I'm sure he'll say, that he would have loved to step in and say, whoa, this is not the right choice. But if he didn't let me make that mistake, there'd be no learning opportunity and I wouldn't grow.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the customers really don't see any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not a big deal. But it's huge for our track and our learning career.
Yeah. What you guys do, and it's not just at Downtown, but at all the venues that I've been to that your group owns and runs, your hospitality towards the entertainment is better than any other venue that we work in. And honestly, like, I want to share what you guys do with all the other venues that I work at, because as a DJ, feeling that love, the t-shirts, I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's one of the probably 10 t-shirts you've given me in the last 6 months. And a sign that just welcomes me. You ask, what the DJs that we send in there want to drink, and you'll set them up with a bucket of high noons or whatever. It's all like little things, but it all adds up to creating an atmosphere and an environment that entertainers want to be in. And when you have an entertainer that wants to be in a venue, they're going to give you their best. They're going to do the best job that they can do. They're going to prep a little harder. They're going to promote a little harder. And it just creates this atmosphere of success. And I don't think many people who run venues understand that. And I don't understand why. It's something that goes overlooked. But why is that something that's so important to you and the rest of your team?
We talk about this on a weekly basis, and I almost think it's funny because I don't feel like we're doing anything. And it's not, and none of this is hard. The answer why it's important to me is I just enjoy it. I enjoy texting the DJ, a couple days before, be like, hey, just found this song. I love this song. I'd love for you to play this. Or what are you opening to? Who are you bringing? They'll show up. We have a pretty standard DJ booth, maybe, even below standard compared to some of these bigger clubs. But they come in, there's a little note. It's like a hype note. Be like, let's effing go. Let's crush it tonight. There'll be a shirt or a hat, which we only have so many shirts. So we're starting to like I can only give you the same shirt so many times. And just making them feel important. They walk up. I'm excited to see them. We'll take care of them. We'll get some drinks for them. Maybe we'll take a shot together. That's really it. And it's just being present and communicating what I'm looking for in the night.
Like Cream said, it's one of the only venues. It is the only venue that we deal with that goes above and beyond in that way. And I feel like the only time we ever hear from ownership about the DJ is when something goes wrong, right? There's not enough communication with like, hey, that DJ did a great job, or like it's like, okay, well, something went wrong, we have to cut the pay for this reason or that reason, right? And I feel like that's a lot of the communication. That's not the right way to lead a company that is hiring out all of these different positions. Being negative all the time is never great. And then, so when you're doing those things, and then let's say a DJ does have an off night, that Monday conversation's way easier because you know what? You did your job. You took care of the talent. You made sure they felt at home, And
that Monday conversation, really, if I wasn't happy, Kareem, if you're playing and I don't think your set was the best, we'll talk about it. I'll be like, why was this not the best? Can we look at your set? Were the BPM super high or super low all night? How did you open? Did you not open hard enough?
For the record, we have not had that conversation.
He's lying.
No, I'm kidding. Sorry to cut you off.
But just it's analyzing what happened. Not just, we had a crappy night and this DJ sucks and let's not have him back. I'm like, it was pouring rain and you didn't promote your night and you didn't say a word to your DJ. Like, no questions asked, you didn't have a good night.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think so many times management or ownership will just go and look at the numbers and just blame it on the entertainment. And, there's so many other factors that are involved. Like you said, weather, especially in the last 2 months, being a major one in the New York City area.
We had our first dry weekend last weekend.
One other thing, too, that I don't know if Chris loves the music. He understands the value of the DJ. I don't think not all the venues and the managers and the people that run these places value the DJ. They look at it like, oh, this guy gets to come here, he gets paid a lot of money, or she gets paid a lot of money, they get to drink on the job. Meanwhile, they're getting a manager's salary, and they're dealing with drunk people and a bunch of staff that doesn't really care to be there that much. And it's like, I think a lot of times there's like some hate towards the DJ, and you can feel that in the communication with the venues sometimes. Or, oh, well, I could just, if Cream doesn't work out, I could just hire another DJ. But then the next weekend, your overall numbers are $10,000 less, and then you want to know why, kind of thing, So we always say it all the time. You can't have it both ways. You can't shit on the DJ and say that they're spoiled and they get paid too much money, but then when you have a bad night, blame the DJ. Like,
yeah.
Right.
So I think you value the DJ and understand the music, and I think that is in the minority, to be honest. What do you guys think about that?
I mean,
you've lived it though, because you care about it so much, and you're in every venue you've worked cares about the DJ. So that's all you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Gary and I deal with so many other places that they don't know the difference between Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris, or like, it's a bad example, but like they don't know the music. They don't care.
Look, Chris, my question is the music that like Angelo plays is kind of the direction that we went to in Downtown Social, right? Are you a fan of that? Are you consuming that music pretty regularly? Or are you a fan of like completely something else different? You just know that that's what works.
Country music all day, every day.
See, that's enlightening. Like, and at least you go to work and you're not like, well, now we got to play country music today.
No, I mean, at 2:30 in the morning, I'll come up to Kareem and be like, let's get some country edits going. Let's switch it up a little bit. No question. Look, I hear this music, 4 days a week, louder than I would like to. And I know every word to every song, but if you ask me what the track idea on any of these songs are, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I was wondering that because I feel like when I'm dealing with a lot of managers and owners, it's like they request the stuff that they personally like. And it's not the stuff that's going to that doesn't always translate well in the venue. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're requesting this genre that is way off base, but then you're like being adamant about like having it played now. just because you own the place? Like it doesn't make sense, you know? And that's why I was wondering. I'm like, okay, well, maybe Chris is just a big fan and that's why it just works. No, like you're actually doing your job. You know what's going to work in the room, and that's what you're striving for.
We talk about pretty often, the three of us, in our, weekly talks. I don't know how to describe a lot of this music, but I know how to describe the feel. And when I'm in my venue and I'm just like, yes, like I'm just happy, like the party is on, that's the direction I'm going for. Um, and I think that's how we've gotten to a lot of the musical direction that we push a lot of our DJs to go. Like, how do we get to that?
Yeah.
And you guys have been super helpful in that, in figuring out what that genre is.
At first it was tough.
Yeah, because and I know I maybe wasn't easy about it, but if I didn't have that feeling, you guys would know.
Right. Right.
It's a lot of pressure because when you don't know what I'm looking for, it's a lot of trial and error. But I feel like we're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's been fun to sort of curate the rooms with you, and not just the front room, because the front room is one thing, right? We're going for this kind of happy, up-tempo, vocals people know, EDM drops type front room vibe. And we opened the back room, and the week before we opened it, we all had this conversation of like, well, what should the back room be? And we were like, should it be like deep house? Should it be hip hop? Should it be open format? And we kind of had this conversation. And then we had the first weekend, the DJs kind of play it a certain way. And then we had another conversation. It's like, well, let's tweak it a little this way. Maybe we should do more of this or less of this. And I think having that open conversation made all the difference. And it's been so valuable to get your feedback, to be able to pass it to the DJs. And then once I then go there, I get to implement what we've talked about. And it's been like this really good kind of circle of trust here.
Yeah. I've learned a lot through this too. It's gotten to the point that I'll go up to the guys playing. It's, now I'm friends with them. And I'll say, this isn't working, or here's what we expect tonight, or what can the plan be? And it doesn't have to wait till Monday. It can be, at midnight on a Saturday night when I go talk to this guy and be like, look, I know you see 10 people engaged, but the other 200 people in the room are not. So we need to go a different direction. And they appreciate it because they want to have a good night, right? They want the venue to do well and for us to be happy.
Yeah, and I'm sure that
conversation is easy. It's just how you have the conversation.
It's the approach. Yeah,
it's the approach for sure. Gary, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, because you know what, we do have managers and owners that aren't as personable, which is so strange. You're managing people, they're managing bartenders and bouncers and things like that, and they're like, their approach to most conversations is very harsh. And then I remember we talked about this, Chris, months ago, and it was like, just go tell them to change it. Just make the approach easy. Don't be like, this sucks. Nobody likes it. Like, because you're hearing that from every drunk white girl anyway. So like, you don't want to hear that from management. You just go up and be like, hey, listen, like this isn't working out and this is why, and let's go somewhere else. And the guys will be very, very cool about it. It's when they get yelled at and they feel attacked, and then it's a little bit of a different story.
What the fuck is this? What are you playing right now?
Right,
like, there's been so many negative.
Little anecdote.
DJs are scarred from those negative approaches. I'm scarred from those negative approaches over the years.
When I was 18 at working at one of the clubs that I was at, just bar backing, Dreams and Nightmares came on. And when I say one of the managers was fuming outside of his ears and like yelled at the DJ, and I was like, my like ignorant 18 was like, I love this song. What is this? So this is cool. It was not the direction they were going. Obviously there was a miscommunication there. But Gary, back to the point where you were saying, we get a little icebreaker to start. So it's not a hard conversation that for me to have with our entertainment.
Right.
DJ comes in. I talk about how we're going to transition from the band to the DJ. I ask them to turn their monitor down. I get my levels from the stage. I'll tap them on the shoulder 10 seconds later when they're ready to kick their monitor. So that rapport between me and the DJ starts before his set even starts.
Generally, you're asking for the DJ's number if they've never been in your room, so you could reach out to them and like say, hey, what's up? Or, do you need anything? Or, hey, can you be here at this time? And I think that also goes a long way as well,
Yeah. It's like we said, it's starting that conversation before the conversation needs to be had. Again, easy stuff. It doesn't take much.
So I have a question about like your format. We've curated like the sound in the front room, and like, would you be willing to change format, like if the younger audience decides to like they're going a different route in what they're interested in?
You know, our in the front, tell me if I'm wrong, we play pretty heavy sing along house EDM, um, big room ish, and then in the back rooms there's no restrictions. I say you can go from Dreams and Nightmares to Mariah Carey back and forth 10 times if you want. And what we found actually, and this is kind of new information to you guys, the back room has been staying busier longer than the front room has. Would I be willing to change? At the moment, I like where we're at. That front room housey vibe is kind of our brand, and that is an
Yeah.
introduction when people walk down those stairs, like they almost get slapped. It's like I just waited in line for 10 minutes, and I walk into this room, and I'm like, whoa. It's a switch, turns on them on, and if they go into the back room and start singing Christmas music, in the middle of July, great. We all know
Yeah.
that.
You know, there aren't we've talked about this, Kareem, in the past, where when we were younger going out, like 18 to 22, like every place had two rooms. Like you had
the house room and the hip hop room
the
mostly.
house room and the hip hop room, right? So like you'd go take a break and you'd jump between the two. I feel like your back room is an amazing opportunity for your patrons to kind of get a break, right? Like, because there's so much energy in the front, and you have your sing-alongs, and you're getting like banged over the head with drops and whatnot. And it's like, okay, well, let me go listen to a couple of hip hop songs or whatever they're playing in the back, and just take a little break from that energy, because you can exhaust the crowd. We were just talking about this last week, as I did it to a couple of my crowds during Halloween weekend, where you can like just really run them ragged. And having that other room for them to go to is so unique and different these days. And it's something that I miss about when I go out to a venue.
Talking about giving customers a break as well. I'll have DJs hit it hard at 11 o'clock and just hammer customers. And I love it, right? It's just like that feeling. But when people have that feeling too, they're not spending a ton of money. When you're so engaged with the DJ, Creamy, it's plenty of times. There'll be 45 people riding the rail 18 inches from your controller, and it's impeccable energy. And sometimes I need to come to the DJ and say, hey, like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I look at the bar, and I got 5 bartenders standing there not making drinks, but a full room.
Yeah. I mean, I see it sometimes where I'm like, all right, we got to take a TO here, and I'll go play like a really quick pop hip hop set, or I'll go play a Bad Bunny track, or I'll just go do I'll play ABBA, or I'll play Dancing Queen or Michael Jackson, or just something random to kind of like break up the 4 on the floor banger mentality kind of thing. And I think that Lower East Side, like Lower New York area, a lot of those other places, the style of music that's getting played is sort of what we're doing in the back room. So it's like super open format, bouncing around. You never really know what you're going to get. There's no rhyme or reason necessarily to, like you said, Christmas music to hip hop to Latin to EDM. Like, it's just sort of random. But that's how a lot of these younger consumers and customers, that's how they consume music right now. It's like they listen to everything, and they have Spotify, and they can listen to Travis Scott, and then they can listen to Avicii, and then they can listen to a country song or whatever. And that's how people are consuming music. And I think that's why that format has been successful in the back room as well.
It's been so successful to the point that the DJs understand it as well. I had a girl come up the other day. James was playing up front, and the girl holds up, a Bad Bunny on her phone. And James is like, "Oh, go in the back room. They'll play whatever you want."
He said that in the Discord. I was cracking up.
That's awesome.
Like, so send them the back. Send them to the back.
Yeah.
But that's good, because when people walk in your door, they have those two different vibes. And if they're not feeling that EDM vibe in the front, instead of leaving, they're going to the back, and they're still spending money in the building. And that's why having that separate room is so valuable, because you're not losing customers. You're just giving them two different options,
Yeah. It's funny, people will walk back there after being up front for 3 hours, and the look on their face is just like,
what's going on back here?
What is this?
Well, it's been cool to see the transformation of the back room as well, because there's a stage back there. We have dance floor lighting. It's really dark, like people want to go dance and hang out in dark spaces. And it's just inviting for people to go party back there. It's like It's what a party goer wants. It's loud, it's dark, there's 2 bars, like
People want to go make decisions. No one's going to see them. They can do what they want. They can have fun, and they're not going to regret any of it.
Yeah.
Which was a struggle. We had a hard time getting people back there for a while. I have 3 bartenders back there that were putting no money in the register for a long time. And we finally dialed in what music should look like in the back, and it's paid off exponentially.
You know what? That's such a important lesson here, especially if there's any other managers or owners listening. Like, you need patience when you're trying something new. You really need patience. It's not going to instantly be packed on the first night of a new party. It's never going to happen. I mean, you guys had it a little bit when you opened Downtown Social. So yes, there are instances where you do get lucky, but when you're trying something new, so drastically new like that, like you can't expect success in the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks even. You just have to stick to it and tweak the areas that can keep that room or keep that idea open and available.
Yep.
Right? Because you have to see it through. Because if you don't do it and you just transition back to what you had before, it's just like, well, you're going to leave money on the table most of the time.
Yeah, the first couple months is going to be just trying out a bunch of different things. 99% of it are not going to hit. On top of that, you got staff behind you who's saying, why isn't this working? Why was the music like this tonight? And it's like, everyone
right, you feel that pressure to have that instant success.
Yeah. And pressure because a lot of times people think the answer is just a different DJ or different music. And if that was the answer overnight, we would have been doing that. But it's really coming down to the format and what's the team that we want to put on this table to invest in our nights.
Right. When you guys are having team meetings, and obviously you're having, goal meetings and things like that, how important is it to talk about like long-term success and long-term strategies for your business?
Huge.
Because I asked the question because it is such a we need to make money right now. So how do you kind of designate like, all right, these are the short-term goals. This is what we're willing to withstand if we want to try something in comparison to those long-term goals.
One of the biggest examples I bring up is, we've been open not even a year yet, and we've seen a good amount of success. What happens when the place across the street that's vacant right now opens up? Or the pop-up around the block opens up for 3 months and is crushing it. Our competitors can see success just as fast as we have. And, talking about complacency, is our biggest enemy. The minute we say we're good today, or let's just look at next week, we fail and we fall because someone else is working 10 times harder than us to be successful in the long run.
Yeah, it's the only way to look at it, really.
Before we finish, that work that you're putting in, we have this conversation with almost every one of our guests, right? It's all the work done behind the scenes that people don't see that help create what people do see, right? It's like all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, all the planning, all the meetings, all the late nights, and all the strategies and ideas, they start coming to fruition and the money starts coming and the success starts coming. And nobody sees all that stuff that you're doing every single day, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, that now in today is paying off. So super important.
The amount of conversations I have with people and they're like, so what do you actually do? Or what do you do during the week when you're not working? It's funny to hear that perspective, but that's reality. Like we said before, people see us cranking on Friday and Saturday, and then it's like we go on vacation Monday to Friday.
Yeah. I wish I had a day off. It'd be great.
Cream doesn't know how to take a day off. That's Cream's problem.
It's a blessing, but it's also why you got you're in now. It speaks volumes. And it's true.
So we talked about like your musical, like the music brand, like what people think of when they think Downtown Social from a music perspective. But like, what are you guys doing from like a marketing, branding, and social media side to kind of stay relevant, right? Because like in bar years, right, like 5 years and like you're out kind of a thing, right? So the best way really to stay relevant outside of all the other things that we talked about right now, which is probably one of the more important things, is marketing, branding, and social media. So like, what are you guys doing to kind of stay on top of that? And do you have a team that takes care of that? And
yeah, so we have a whole marketing team. We have a team down in Charleston, and then we have a team in New York. I play a pretty big part on our team here in New York, specifically at Downtown Social. There's 5 people on our team plus myself. I try to just be as present as possible when it comes to our social media. What's going on? I'll have conversations with our other operators. It's like, great, you put a post up a month ago. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. So how do we make it as easy as possible for customers to understand what's happening in our building? Um, we do a lot of live content. I feel pretty strongly about that. There's not an immediate return on that, and it takes up a lot of my time during the night. But when I get texts or your DJs or friends text you guys like, "Oh my God, Downtown Social looked electric tonight," or "What's going on? My spot's dead." There's some social status there that's important to the success of our business. When people can see on a dead Friday night in New York City that we have a line around the block, and I use chaos a lot in our marketing, and it's just like, what the hell is going on in that building? I need to see this for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just going
Organized
back
chaos.
to these little things, organized chaos or unorganized. Um, Messaging different people. The girl or guy who had a bad night, taking a step with them outside, giving them some free drink cards, giving them my card. Text me next time you're here. I'll take care of you. That's like real boots to the ground stuff that I think people say, it's 10 p.m. The night's kicked off. I can sit back and, you know, just be crowd control at this point. Your night's just getting started. How
Yeah.
how can I make as many customers' nights as I can by physically being there for them?
Yeah, you're doing something on a nightly basis that I feel like some ownership is doing only on the big days. I think your focus every Friday and Saturday is to make sure every customer can become a repeat customer.
Yeah.
And it's something that I am hearing more and more only on SantaCon, Halloween bar crawl, Halloween Saturday night. And I hear need your best DJ in here tonight. And it's like, I'll pay a couple more dollars on this day. It's like, well, why aren't you just paying a couple more dollars every weekend and just creating the best possible experience you can for your venue every week?
Yep.
And and that's the day that maybe the owner shows up and he's not there every Saturday night and he's trying to be involved with the crowd. And it's like you can't do this 5 nights a year. You have to do it every Friday and Saturday, and it's really what makes the difference.
I mean, that's the root of hospitality.
Yeah.
Making people have fun, feel important. Back to the
It's a-
DJs and paying DJs.
yeah.
We don't have an infinite budget, nobody does.
Right.
But if we can pay the DJs what they're paying them and they still want to come and they want to perform and they want me to come up at the end of the night and give them a big hug, I'm like, guys, you crushed it. And I throw you guys in a group chat being like, this is the best that I've ever heard. That is where that excess pay comes from.
Yeah.
The venues that are doing the best are the ones that have either a managing partner or an owner that's involved and care about hospitality. I mean, I'm thinking in my head, I'm not going to call all the places out, but the venues that have someone who's sort of the face and cares and is interacting with customers on a weekly basis, and everyone associates Downtown Social with Chris, and everyone associates the Ashford with Connor, and so on, Wicked Wolf with Slav, like when you have a face of a venue and you have someone that cares about the customer experience, to me, your venue is going to be successful. I guarantee you that the places that have that person, the numbers are going to look better than all the places that don't. And you brought up, like, this is simple, it's hospitality, but not a lot of people are doing it, Chris. It's crazy to me. We're in the hospitality industry, and no one wants to provide this high-end hospitality experience. It blows my mind. And that's one of the big reasons why I feel like, one of the reasons, but why our industry is sort of on a little bit of a downside right now, and not as many people are going out, because it's like there is no hospitality in many places. People are just running a business and going about the day to day, and they don't care. And I see it all the time in the service when I go to restaurants, at bars with bartenders who are on their phones and not looking at taking care of customers. Like, it happens in 75% of the places, I'd say. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
You shake your head. You look at it and you shake your head because that guy's putting 5 days in the office, and to not have a team member pay attention to the most important part of our business, it's throwing that all away.
Yeah.
those little things like you talked about, like grabbing somebody, giving them their card, pulling them outside, having a quick conversation, people remember that stuff. And when they're like, oh, what should we do tonight? That person's going to say, oh, we should go to downtown because they had such a great experience the last time. That makes all the difference. It's very simple. And I don't understand why it's so complicated and diluted, but like,
Yeah.
give your customers a good time and, like take care of them and they're going to come back.
Something I preach to my team, when you have a good customer, everyone has in their head that we need to hone in on this good customer because they're so good to us, which it is important. I think what's even more important is being good to the customers who maybe are not the best to us. An example I have is I was standing outside the other month and this couple walked by and they laughed that we had a line and this place sucks. And I grabbed them. I said, hey guys, can I come buy you a drink inside real quick? Made them skip the line, brought them on the DJ stage. They had confetti. They've been in every week for the last 3 months. that opportunity, that people have a negative connotation of what your business is, that's an opportunity to turn a customer. And for them to now go home and say, I never thought I'd say this, but Downtown Social was the most fun I've had in New York City. And it's letting go of your ego of turning around and being like, you don't know what you're talking about, or, get the hell out of here. Yeah.
It goes a long way, especially in a jaded city like New York.
The amount of people who walk out and there's an altercation or something happens and they're coming out heated and I'm standing out there, I'm like, let's talk. How you doing? What happened? I don't know what happened, but I'm here to figure this out. People don't get that because people are so up on their high horse about we're so good and this is our venue and don't mess with us. Your doors will be closed in 2 months if you constantly think like that.
Yeah.
Such a great outlook.
Man.
Having that positive outlook and being able to flip the customers. I love hearing it. It's hard to do, man. Most people in those situations are defensive and are like, well, F them, like fuck them. I don't need them as a customer. But I think that's just like the natural reaction. And to be able to have that positive mind state and trying to convert them, it's like such a great opportunity for you and for your venues. So that's super cool to hear.
Well, it's getting back to the long-term versus short-term success. We do need those customers because if we start losing customers in the short term, how do we expect to keep them in the long term?
Right.
Again, it's putting that ego aside and just understanding what your customer wants and making them feel important.
There's also a shelf life for your customers too, right? Like there's only so many years that that a regular is going to be going out and being a regular. At some point, they're probably not going to go out as much, or they're going to get married and have kids, or they're going to move away. And like, you have that window of time to have those people as customers. So you need to constantly be building the next regulars,
Those current regulars need to be talking to the younger generations how positive their experience is so they come back. So their younger cousins come back and then their younger brother comes back and it's a constant cycle and your venue can stay where your venue is for as long as possible.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Anything else we haven't talked about or you want to cover or go over? I feel like we hit a lot today. I'm
trying to DJ. I try to DJ the last 10 minutes of every set, and it is awful. It is so bad. It's my appreciation for what you guys do has really been brought to the next level. But my goal is to DJ bathroom breaks on a Saturday night and nobody notice.
How nerve-wracking is it when you're trying to mix 2 songs together and you got to hit like 7 different knobs and buttons at the same time?
It's a lot. I find myself getting, really focused on what's in the headphones, physically and metaphorically, and you forget what's happening in the room. So,
yeah,
like I said, my appreciation for that has grown.
We'll get you there.
We'll
get you there.
I'll see you Friday, man. Well, I'll have to throw you into the fire. I'll take a little bathroom run.
Get a little crate ready for me for the last 10 minutes. Give me some stuff to work.
We could do that for sure.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Like you guys know, my appreciation for you is more than I can put into words. I feel like my venue and myself has been brought to the next level having you guys a part of our team. And I'd like to think vice versa. I think we both learned a lot working together in the last year, and I'm excited
1,000%.
to see what the next year is going to entail.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, man.
We know that much.
It's been it's been nice to have another business owner who kind of gets it and is in our world to have high level conversations, whether it's has to do with downtown or get down or not. And so I always appreciate those conversations, and I look forward to more of them.
We got to do a meetup. Get down at downtown.
Yeah, we do have to do that. We will.
Yeah.
Get down meetup coming early 2024. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, possibly.
Cool,
right.
man. All right, Chris
Appreciate
Kinsel,
you.
appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
All right, guys. Peace.
See you guys.